You are listening to Deconstruction Podcast, presented by the Architectural Authority magazine.
We are the ones that are in charge of your brand messaging. And so messaging means visual, but then also written, spoken. And so it's our job to always make sure that your messaging is consistent.
Mm-hmm.
And for example, your website, if your Instagram is beautiful, but your website is not, then that needs to be consistent.
Dissonant.
The way that, down to like, for example, if like, let's say the way that you describe your services you're not choosing the right words, we will help with that messaging, because you'd be surprised. Words have power. The way that we interpret the world around us is through words. And so simply changing the words of from super high end, changing that to just sophisticated or elegance, it's a whole different, now it's being perceived very differently. And as all you did was switch some words around.
This episode is brought to you by WAD Designs Custom Woodwork. From design and build to installation, WAD Designs handles every detail in-house, ensuring a seamless, high-quality experience. WAD Designs, designed with heart, built with purpose.
This is Deconstruction, a space where we explore ideas, trends, and stories shaping the world of architecture, design, and construction. From creative vision to business challenges, we dive into everything influencing the industry and how to navigate it. This podcast is produced by the Architectural Authority magazine, a platform committed to supporting creators and giving voice to those who turn vision into reality. Today, we welcome Byron Cordero, founder of Cordero Consulting, a strategic brand firm known for positioning designers and architectural talent with authenticity and depth. With over a decade of experience across public relationships, advertising, sales, and editorial, Byron defines himself as a connector, a professional who translates value into a voice that resonates and builds credibility. In 2017, he was named the PR Rising Star 30 Under 30 by PR News in Washington, D.C. Today, his role goes far beyond media placement. Byron acts as a guardian of branding identity, helping clients align their messaging with their vision, values, and long-term positioning. Perfect. Byron, thank you for coming. Thank you for being here and giving us your time. The starting of this session was beautiful with your prayer, and I'm very grateful that we are aligned into that. Gratitude to your presence and to your message.
Amen.
Amen. The beginning of this conversation, I wanted to be a little bit of your story. I want you to tell me how you got to be who you are and what drove you to this role that is impacting so many designers. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for whatever reason, from a very young age, people have always kind of looked to me for direction, and I don't know why. I think it's a gift, from my brothers to my mom. I remember my mom used to be like, "Hey," so mind you, I have a sister. She'd be like, "Hey, do these earrings go with these shoes?" And I'm like, "Yeah," but my sister's right here. I don't know why you're asking me. And then I remember growing up. For example, in high school, there was this really popular kid. His dad was a bodyguard for Queen Latifah. And so he was very popular. He had a lot of connections. He had a beautiful house. And he was always doing the same party. And so one day it was just, the football players and the cheerleaders. One day I was like, "Hey, why don't we invite the drama geeks and the music people?" You never know. And he's like, "I don't know. That's kind of weird." I'm like, "Just trust me." I was like, "I'll invite them and we'll see how it goes." And it was probably one of his best parties ever. And then he's like, "Thank you so much. How did you think about I would have never thought to invite them." And I was like, "Well, I took the time to get to know these people." And so essentially I've always kind of been curating people, curating relationships. And I think that it's because I learned this recently. The key to being popular is just liking people, liking a lot of people, finding something to like about everyone. You don't have to like everything about them, but just finding something, and then that makes you more likable.
Exactly. That's an amazing way to navigate life, right?
Exactly.
Because you are not 100% a perfect human being, but you always have something that, number one, you feel proud of it.
Yep.
You have passion for.
Exactly.
That moves you, right?
Yeah.
So that connection is what you initially is where you shine up, right?
Exactly.
So finding that, or identifying that, and connecting those dots, if of course, is a gift, because not everybody has that observation, that
Right,
patience.
right. It's
Okay,
the
so
patience. You
like
said
like
it.
like an
It's
X-ray of people.
I mean, I don't know. I've developed this gift where like I can tell who someone is in the first 2 minutes of like just having a conversation
Beautiful,
with them.
beautiful, beautiful.
But and so that was just like not professionally. And then as I, went to school, graduated, got my first PR job in fashion.
Uh
The
huh.
reason I did it mostly was, I mean, yes, fashion is beautiful and fun, but I think what I enjoyed about it was that there's a language that fashion speaks without you having to open your mouth. And I was so
Awesome.
attracted to that. Because if you think about it, when people first meet someone, they first notice like their gender and then their race. And then what they're wearing really says a lot about them. It's like one of the first forms of communication that we have with
Yes.
people, especially with strangers. And so I just saw the power in that. And it was so beautiful to be able to work with great designers
Mm-hmm.
and be able to convey their story. So, for example, like
Yes.
Oscar de la Renta is from Dominican Republic. I feel very proud because immigrant parents. I'm from Guatemala. And so it was just beautiful to be able
Beautiful.
to part of those narratives. And then there's
See.
other designers, big and small. And it's just finding something that like you connect with, and then that makes it special. And it makes the message go so much further than where it goes. And
Mm-hmm.
so from there, I kind of jumped around. I went to go work at a magazine, which I'm very grateful for. I wanted to be an editor so badly. Like Devil Wears Prada. I wanted to be like, just saying like these are the things that you need to be buying right now. But unfortunately, the magazine was like, we don't have those positions available. But if you
Oh.
want, we have ad sales. And I was like, I don't even know what that is. I'm like, that looks boring. I'm like, oh, I didn't want to do
Okay.
this. But I was like, you know what? This is an opportunity. Like, I've never worked at a magazine. Let me try it. And I'm very grateful because I learned the art of like the money that goes behind a
How
magazine.
it works?
And that's what keeps all the lights on, and that's what pays everyone's salaries.
Exactly.
uh,
Understanding that.
and I didn't realize the value in that. And so, for example, when you open a magazine, the reason why a right-hand page is more expensive than the left-hand page is because when you open it, you go here first. Like, and little things like that, like I didn't know about. And so I felt very grateful that I was able to learn
Excellent.
that. My boss, he was so mean, like so mean, but I learned so much from him. He taught me to create this like sense of urgency, because if people don't feel like there's a sense of urgency,
Mm-hmm.
they don't move. Like they just don't. And
Yes.
that's everywhere in life. I don't know why.
In
Like
every industry.
you just have to set deadlines. And I think being a business owner now, I've learned, in the past, when you have people that tell you what to do, supervisors, managers, they make those deadlines for you. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that is something that you have to develop to be a leader, to be a business
100%.
owner, setting those deadlines
Mm-hmm.
and managing those expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm grateful that he taught me that, the creating the sense of urgency. It'd be funny because, like, let's say we had like a closing deadline for the book to print. Let's say it was September 1st and it was like July 20th. I would be like, yes, by July 28th, we need to know. Otherwise, we're going to close the book. But little things like
Exactly.
that. And now
Exactly.
you secured it for September.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so I guess he taught me a lot about long-term thinking. And so anyway, how that transformed to design PR, it's a very like long but like interesting story. So we had a few advertisers that were furniture brands. And
Mm-hmm.
from time to time, they would be like, "Hey, we want to have an event with the magazine." And I would be the lead because I was the point person. I would be the one kind of helping them come up with the idea for the event. This was in New York City, so finding the venue, like I guess I kind of learned PR, design PR, without even being in it fully. And so I would just be like, okay, well, what is there a hotel or a restaurant that has already used your lights or your sofa, whatever that is? Is there
Exactly.
a lobby that looks beautiful that really resonates and like says your message really
Mm-hmm.
well? And so working with that, with the brands, the home and design brands, I met my last boss, Andrew, and he was one of the publicists for one of those brands. And then we became really close because he was so easy to work with. I adore him. He's this like big Santa Claus guy and like he's amazing. And one day he was like, "Hey, one of my girls is leaving, and so do you know of anybody that wants a job?"
Exactly. Like saying it without saying
Yeah.
it.
Do you know of anybody that wants a job? And I was like, I don't know. Let me think about it. And then I just like went home, and then I was like, you know what? I was like, design, it's really beautiful how there's this large sense of community. Like my old boss was so collaborative. Everyone in the
Mm-hmm.
design teams were so collaborative. They were open to ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like sometimes, when I used to work in fashion, you would never like witness like Marc Jacobs and, Celine doing a collaboration. That would never happen. But I learned in design really quickly, a wallpaper company will collaborate with an artist, or a furniture brand will collaborate with a sculptor, like whatever that is. And
Yes.
so that I saw and I was like, wow, people here are like nice and like
It's
and I felt more at home, I think.
mm-hmm.
And so I went and started working in design PR, and I did learn though, the only thing that was missing from my experience was design also has its own language. So when I used to work in fashion, it's called speaking Prada. And so you're
Uh-huh.
able to speak
What?
Prada means like brands, you're able to know
Uh-huh.
exactly like for example, you never hang sweaters, you know that you always have to fold them, and it's
Uh,
because it can like
okay.
like little things like that. But then I learned that design has its own speak language. Like
Okay,
I
talk
speak
to us.
Schumacher now. I speak Liag. And just knowing, so just learning those little nuances. But again, I think what made me stay in design PR were really the people. And then, we have different types of clients. So interior designers and architects we call personalities,
Okay.
because they want to be the face and they are the brand in themselves,
Mm-hmm.
whether they're a small brand or a larger brand. And so I learned how to basically dissect them and really like discover what is it that they're passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we know what the leader's vision is, then everything else kind of makes it like you
I
understand why things are done this certain
I
way.
love every word.
There is an architecture firm. I'm not going to say the name, it's nothing negative, but they told us, they were like, we will never have stripes in any of our projects. And I was like,
What?
"Why?" I was like,
Why?
"Stripes." I was like, "Stripes are fun." I was like, I
Exactly.
like J. Crew, like nautical." I think a striped pillow is beautiful. I mean, paneling, that's a form of
Exactly.
stripes. And he's like, "We just don't do it." And so I was like, "You know what? I respect it, because I guess you're never gonna see a
Your
stripe in
style,
this
exactly.
project."
That's your
That's your
your identity
Yeah,
brand.
exactly. I don't know if it was trauma, but
Maybe
it
because
could be trauma
all
stripes.
is related. All that we do is related with our experience and how we perceive
Yeah,
world. So maybe there was something related with stripes that triggered something
exactly.
negative to whoever's vision,
Exactly.
and that's part of the design industry that I believe is so expansive. Design in general, because it's beautiful to see your vision of how people present themselves,
Mhm.
and that also translate into architecture and design,
Yep.
because for every creative or creator, their product is their face.
Right.
So, however they want to be seen
Mhm.
is how they cater their product, the end product.
Exactly.
So, for you being able to scan and read
Mhm.
the authenticity, their
Right.
identity, their core, their passion, and taking that as a, I will say, tool, you
Yeah.
will explain us how you do this magic,
Yeah.
because it's part for me. Many designers or architects do not know their branding potential or their
Mhm.
way of communicating, right? So you
1,000%
find the way to show the best version
version of
of
them.
them.
Correct.
Exactly.
Years ago, I read this book, The Tipping Point, and it said, and this helps build to the point of like community and why it's so important. Even have like a team, like
Hmm.
choosing the right team. So there's three types of people that make something like a movement, or they make something happen. And so it's the maven, the salesperson, and the connector. So the
Okay.
maven is the person that's making something. So let's just
Okay.
say a ceramicist. That's the maven. They know everything about ceramics, how it's made, the colors, how do you incorporate colors, how do you make it look old, new, whatever
Hmm.
that is. So that's their
The role.
expertise.
Huh?
And then you have the connector. So that would be someone more like me. So the
Hmm.
connector is someone that sees that and then connects them to the right audience, the right platform,
Hmm.
is able to help them share the message. Because so many times, and it comes with designers and architects,
All the time.
I love them, but they're so good at what they do, but they don't know how to talk about it. Or
Correct.
they get like
Correct.
shy, they get
Exactly.
timid. They're like, "Oh, I don't know." Like, and I'm like, "Be proud of like it." But
Hmm.
the thing is though, like that's not their skill set. That's not their
Correct.
expertise. And so surrounding yourself with someone like that, it's kind of like having a cheerleader on your
Exactly.
side. Like
Exactly.
your hype person. They're just
Uh-huh.
like, this is why you need to hire this person, or this is why
Hmm.
you need to go to this brand. Like,
Yes.
trust me, just give me like 3 minutes. And so
Da, da,
that's
da,
the
da.
connector. But then the last one, and this is really important, especially in business, is salespeople. So salespeople will take that vision and all the relationships and the platforms, but they will convert it into a number. And that is important. So important, because That's the one that's going to keep all the lights on for
Amazing.
everybody
Exactly.
else.
Amazing. Without these three, let's call it
And
cores
yeah, cores,
or roles,
entities. Yeah.
exactly. Nothing works.
No, because you could be so talented and such a great artist. I think a lot of painters struggle with this. They're so amazing at painting, but then they don't know how to talk
But they
about it.
put all their
They
energy
don't
in
know.
there.
Correct. Yeah.
Exactly. So
And then sometimes they don't even know how to price it. And like I have this one girlfriend, I went to school with her. I adore her. She just got into this first gallery show here in Miami.
what?
She's in New York. And then she it was such a cheap price. And I was like, Melissa, you have so many years of expertise. This is beautiful. Like I know this didn't take you 1 hour to do. This is months of
Exactly.
work. I'm like, this would be a lot higher. She's like, well, I don't know. I just like thought of a number. And I'm like, well, you have to do the competitive research. Like, what are your like? What is everyone else charging?
Uh-huh.
Like, what are the prices of the gallery? Who are their connections? Asking the right questions. Like, just finding out who the audience is so important. I joke sometimes when people are like inquiring about PR services, and I'm
Mhm.
like, think about us as like a Tinder or like a dating app, or
Okay.
pretend like we're your best friends. So
Beautiful.
let's say like you were my girlfriend and you're single and you're looking for a boyfriend. I would say, first of all, let me look at your profile. Are
Mm-hmm.
these the right photos that you're choosing for yourself?
Exactly.
Are these beautiful photos of you? Like, or I'll be like, why is there, an awkward like background back there? Or, you have a stain on your shirt. Why are you posting that? Or like, I'm like, that angle is not good for you.
Your best friend,
So,
like.
so you're dissecting the visuals, and then also you're going through the bio, and you're like, and I'm like, this is great, but why don't you talk about the philanthropy work you do on the side? I think that's something different. It's something that is unique. Not everybody does
Exactly.
that. Or you didn't list, that you also do poetry in your spare time. I think people can connect to that. People want
Mm-hmm.
something different to connect to. And so that's what we're like we're like a human Tinder. So we're looking at ways to connect our clients with media platforms so they can
Mm-hmm.
write about their work, talk about their work, interview them. But then we're
Beautiful.
also looking to connect them with the right brands and partners, which is what I said about community in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Because, for example, to build a house, it takes a village.
It takes a
A
village. That's
village.
what this podcast is about. It's all the people involved in creating that. And
Hmm.
without them,
Yeah.
and you understand that because I through your speaking, I can see that you understand that without them, the final product is
Mm-mm.
it's not possible.
No.
It's not possible. We all have our roles.
Yeah. And I will say your company has one of the most difficult. I've seen this so many times. The designers or the architects will blame the construction company.
Yes, yes. So if you
And
don't
I'm like,
collaborate and if you don't create value, you give value and
Yeah.
receive value and create this synergy because
Hmm.
that's what I try to do with my associate designers or where with everybody
Yeah.
because if I don't have my subcontractors, I don't have anybody to execute.
Yeah.
Like
Thousand
we
percent.
are a team.
Yeah.
So I can have one client and it will be one house, but my subcontractors will be with me in all my projects.
Hmm.
So this is a village of people working towards one
One
goal.
goal. Correct.
And if we are not exactly, if whatever you believe is your morals, your compasses, because that also it's important when you are collaborating with people.
Hmm.
You have to be aligned.
Yeah.
You have to be aligned in the final goal. What is your expectations? The whole project idea,
Hmm.
the whole project feeling sense had to be shared with all the people involved so the message can come
1,000%.
out strong, loud,
Right.
and be received and give value to the users.
Right.
Because a beautiful thing about architecture that fashion doesn't have
Hmm.
is that you impact people. With the space that you
1,000%.
build, you
Yeah.
impact people.
You
You
do.
create emotions, right?
Hmm.
So whatever you do is translate the vision of a designer, a creative, into matter,
Hmm.
and that matter impacts many people.
1,000%.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that process, if you see it in a way of beauty or worth,
Hmm.
it's very strong because
1,000%.
the majority of we live in an environment built in a built environment.
Hmm.
Everything happening in something in a space that somebody built, right?
Right. Right.
So nobody is exempt of having somebody like us
Hmm.
building a space,
Right.
but you don't notice it when the space is good. You
Right.
flow. But when the space is wrong,
Yeah.
it
That
doesn't
is
make
true.
sense. The
Yeah.
colors is too hard. Like
Right.
everything,
Uh-huh.
is inside our industry.
1,000%.
So when everybody is and the education and they are proud of their work, that's why the people that I try to bring close to my practice is everything is people that is proud of what they do, because
Mhm.
when you are proud of what you do, you deliver, you
1,000%.
show, right?
Mhm.
So let me pick up something that you were saying in your explanation that I loved. When we have the majority of the designers that I know that are brilliant, they lack of self-worth.
Mhm.
They don't know that they are as good as they are.
Mhm.
They do not know how to show themselves. They compare themselves with other big brands and they do not know that being unique, it's it's invaluable. Right? So
1,000%.
talk to us about a little bit of how you do that jumping into the life of that person that you are going to represent, and explain it. I know a little bit of what you have done,
Yeah.
and but I want people to see this podcast to understand how you can help them. Where do you start? How is the process of getting into a connection with someone that you will be representing and being, the voice of
Of
their
them.
identity, no?
Right, right. Um, so I think that it all boils down to, and this is more like a journalism. I think it's called the upside down pyramid. And so
Mm-hmm.
the 5 questions: who, what, where, when, why,
Mm-hmm.
those always have to be answered, and immediately, almost immediately.
Okay.
And I think in design, because it's not like a written, it's a very visual industry,
Mm-hmm.
being able to answer the who, what, where, when, why through through visuals, through pictures, through
Mm-hmm.
videos, that is the key when it comes to brand messaging. And so there's a lot of people that I think where they fall is that they don't think about the branding until after. And I think that that is something that you need to come up with from the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
because essentially it's like your business is a baby. And so the baby is not born 3 years, it's born in infancy.
Exactly, exactly, exactly.
It's born in like zero. So think about when the mother is pregnant, you're gonna have to go buy the crib, you have to buy the diapers, you're
Uh-huh.
preparing for that. And that is called,
Nesting, uh-huh.
I learned this through VU Church, which is the church that I go to. It's called, what is it? So a proof of expectation is preparing for something. And so, for example, when I anticipate I'm going to land the next big, architecture firm, then I'm going to do the things to set the momentum in order to be able to acquire that. And in order to do that, I have to be able to learn all the who, what, where, when, why of that architecture firm.
Uh-huh.
So, who are they? Where are they? Like, are
Mm-hmm.
they physically here or are they physically in Paris? You might
Uh-huh.
have to get on a plane sometimes.
Exactly. That's awesome.
Some of our international brands, we've had to go because in the past we've worked Maison and Objet in Paris in
Mm-hmm.
January or Salone de Mobile in Milan.
Love
And
it.
sometimes you have to go to these places in order to meet those people because
Try
at
to
the end of the day,
connect.
it's those relationships you
Mm-hmm.
have to connect. And so finding out all of those things, that is essentially that's the secret formula to how everyone's identity runs. And so it's really important that you know about yourself and the brand that you want to establish,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the who, what, where, when, why. I think why is probably the most important out of all of them, because the bottom line is when you're up for, let's say, when an architect is up for bids, you're down to the last three, they will always choose the why. Out of those three, it's the why. And so it's like, were they able to communicate the process? Um, do people like them?
Exactly,
And
exactly.
why do people like them? Um, and a reason, and I have my little notebook here because how you
Beautiful.
practice and how you get to the why, and this will be really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an acronym. It's SPIRE, SPIRE,
SPIRA.
RE. And so S is for spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
So engaging in some kind of spiritual practice, it could be religion, it could be meditation, it could be yoga.
Yeah.
Some people do breath work.
Love it.
Engaging in some kind of spiritual practice, it allows you to notice how bigger the picture is and how big your life is
Yes.
and so you don't drown in problems, for example, or challenges.
Thanks.
You're able to manage your expectations. You're able to manage challenges a lot better. Maybe you were like really hoping for that client, and at the last minute, they're like, "We're so sorry, it's just not for us."
Mm-hmm.
You learn how to pick yourself up a lot quicker because you know that your worth is not going to change just because someone said no to you. You
Exactly.
know your worth. You know that you're loved. I mean, in
Mm-hmm.
Christianity, you know that you're loved. You know that you're worthy. Like you don't need someone else to tell you that. Like you've already been
Exactly.
validated. And so practicing any meditation, it allows you to have that sense of worth, sense of purpose, value who you are on this planet as a
Mm-hmm.
person. Because at the end of the day,
Beautiful.
you're more than a construction, and you're more than a businesswoman. You are
Yes.
also a sister, a friend. I don't know if you have a relationship,
Yeah,
but
but it's like it's that it's not
you're
what you do. It's who you are.
exactly,
And that's what
yes.
you guys try to
To
catch
get to the end,
exactly,
yeah.
because it's at the I think I will let you continue, but
Hmm.
I think now in this society we are more tuned into the being than the doing.
Hmm. 1,000%.
After COVID, people turned inwards,
Hmm.
and that created a okay, who I am,
Yes,
know what I
yes.
do.
Yeah.
So continue.
Absolutely. No, that's beautiful. You're spot on it, which shows that you practice spirituality.
Yes, I do.
Um, and so spirituality, and the last thing I wanted to say with that is it it allows you to see the world a lot bigger, right?
Hmm.
And so you are able to learn that when an opportunity doesn't happen, that just means that it's not for now. I'm a firm believer that it's a
Exactly.
no for now, not forever.
Exactly.
It's a no right now, revisit it in a month, in a year. Maybe you have to change, maybe they have to change. Something has to change, but it's a no for now.
Yep.
And so that's spiritual. So that's S. P is physical.
Hmm.
So the mind and the body are super connected. And that could just mean you don't know how beneficial it has been to me to just go for a walk at noon.
Totally.
Just go for a walk.
Move.
Just like move. Move your body. Get your thoughts going. So there's something special that happens when you walk because it helped inspire. So being that you're seeing visuals, so you're seeing
Hmm.
trees, bushes, cars, whatever, but you're not seeing them at a pace that's so quickly, like you're not going 1,000 miles per hour. It's slow enough that you're able to capture the colors and the textures and everything, and that helps sparks memories. It helps spark new
Yes.
ideas.
Yeah.
It helps you clear your mind. And so that
Hmm.
mind, that physical part, it should be a part of everyone's regimen. And
Hmm.
again, I'm not
Yes.
saying go to CrossFit right now and start like just something that you enjoy. It could be
Yes.
walking, um, tennis, whatever,
It's proven that
anything.
moving helps you with all your functions
Yeah.
and physically and mentally.
Yeah.
So I
Exactly.
think everybody will understand that movement is something that I personally run, and for me run is meditation,
Mhm.
because I'm a super active person. So when I'm
Yeah.
running, I disconnect from my body and in my
Yeah.
mind. So
Yeah.
thinking, and that's a way of meditation for me, because as you said, when you
1,000%.
see around, you start getting information.
Mhm.
It's the temperature of your body. It's the colors. Is the geometry around you, the trees, the clouds, everything,
Mhm.
right? So, and that all of that is information that is giving you
Correct.
alignment, is giving you peace of mind,
Mhm.
organizing your thoughts.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Mm-hmm.
And especially when you work in an industry like ours that can be very hectic,
Mm-hmm.
people sometimes they wanna hire you. Yes, you're an expert at what you do, but they expect you to have everything under control, at least look like you have it. So
Exactly.
just being
All
cool,
together.
calm, collected.
Put together.
Meanwhile, in the back something's burning. You're like, "It's fine. It's good. We
Poker
got it."
face. Expert here.
Um, intellectual curiosity, so that's I.
Mm-hmm.
So always finding a way to educate yourself in
Mm-hmm.
something. It doesn't matter what it is.
Keep learning.
There's value, yes, in
Mm-hmm.
learning. And it could be something small, it could be something related to your business. It doesn't matter what that is, but just that it's gonna renew your mind slowly.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe, I mean, I personally think everything is connected. And
Yes.
so maybe just learning, let's say you learn to crochet, but then you learn that there's something about patience there that you
Cooking.
didn't have before. Cooking. Oh my God, cooking I think is meditation.
Totally, and helps you, and it's an artistic a
Expression.
activity,
Yeah.
because you are mixing colors, forms, shapes. It stimulates all your body. Like it's an activity that is so popular now because it helps you to activate the majority of your senses. And we in this new era, we are going towards the, I would say, enjoyment of our beings.
Hmm.
We are, feeling more of the breeze,
Yeah.
understanding that we are alive. Whatever we eat is whatever we make this body composition be
Hmm.
better or
Yeah.
not.
A
Like, so
1000%.
so everything and whatever you
Yeah.
see is also nurturing you.
Hmm.
So for the intellectual and knowledge, whatever you learn, small or big, is
Yeah.
making new neural paths in your
Yeah.
brain. So that
Absolutely.
creates you,
Yeah.
activates.
Yeah.
So and expand your vision of the things that you, for example, when you meet someone that has
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
hobby, you have something to say.
Right. Right. Exactly. Something to connect. And I guess it teaches you something you said when you were saying that is it teaches you that everything is doable, everything is possible. Like if your heart is in it, you will find a way. I'm a
Yes.
firm believer.
Yes.
I remember I'm just like if if the door I say this to my team a lot. If the front door is locked, try the side door. If that's locked, try the window, break into it. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Find a way.
Whatever it takes. Yes.
Call someone. Maybe you have to
Ye-
call someone to help you open the
Yes.
door. Um
I'm that way. In our industry, it's very complicated to be a woman in construction, because it's not because it's not possible educationally. You have the academics, you study. I went to the university, but it's gaining the respect on the
mm,
field.
mhm.
Being a woman, that is kind of complicated. Not because it's not possible. It's because you are fighting with everybody's beliefs.
Right.
So
Yeah.
so so I think changing beliefs is also a way of changing society, because
Mhm.
when people has a certain belief and they meet someone that is breaking those patterns,
Yeah.
maybe this is possible, right?
Yeah.
So by doing what we love, by going to the extreme, by breaking the door, the window, going far beyond,
Yeah.
we are creating an example for people that thinks that this is the ceiling.
Mhm. A
So
thousand
we are
percent.
breaking beliefs. So
Yeah.
we are impacting
A
people that
thousand
we,
percent.
we believe that, okay, we are just making an effort. We are really creating examples. We
Yeah.
are creating mirrors for others to see that they
Mhm.
can do it and be.
1000%. I mean, if you think about someone, I think Jeff Bezos is an easy example.
Mm-hmm.
If someone would have went to him and they saw him in the early stages of that man in his garage selling
Mm-hmm.
books, they'd be like, "Pff, what is this? Like this
Exactly.
is like you're a joke. No one's gonna buy it. Look at that example."
The vision.
But the thing was the vision that he had from the beginning, even
Mm-hmm.
though he was in a garage, his vision allowed him to see so much
Mm-hmm.
more than that.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
think that that's how everything should be seen. Like you should like for example, even though we are still a small firm, and I know that there's a lot of companies out there that are boutique, you should have that Fortune 500 mentality. You should have that
100%.
like there are different departments,
No
this
limits.
is yeah, like and just compartmentalizing
Mm-hmm.
because once you have that vision, then you're going to be looking for ways to be able to bring
Mm-hmm.
that in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's very important. And going back to the three people that make something happen,
Mm-hmm.
um, it's important to surround yourself with people that are better at you, at other things that you're not, and that have different skill sets.
Yes.
Because it takes, again, it goes back to it takes a
Happy.
village, but there are just some people that, for example, a bookkeeper is going to keep those books nice and clean. And that's just something that a creative person
Yeah.
sometimes is like, I don't know what to do with
No, no, no.
this.
They hate it. If whatever you do, you don't love it. It's not the outcome is not gonna be right.
No, exactly. So the next one is are relationships probably one of the most
Oof.
important.
Yes.
Okay, so relationships, and this is now a book. I feel like I'm sponsoring books right now.
But
It's
that's
called
perfect.
Go Giver. And so with relationships, ask yourself, what can I do for you? What can I bring to this relationship?
Okay.
What can I offer you?
Mm-hmm.
And that will build an authentic, beautiful relationship from the beginning
Mm-hmm.
because you're not asking for something. You're not looking to get this transactional something from someone.
Mm-hmm.
You're offering yourself. And I think people see
The
that and they
giving.
recognize that. And it's like, oh, wow, like what? Like, actually, I need help in so
Exactly.
many
Open
areas of my
doors.
life.
Yes.
And so with relationships, I think number one, so asking what can I do for someone? And then two, in our world, I think there's a lot of parties, a lot of events, happy hours, whatever that is. finding ways to break that mold from time to time and build a genuine relationship, for example, with the showroom manager at the deli
Mm-hmm.
or um I don't know, the procurer or the outside sales rep. Just finding a way like, hey, do you want to go play paddle next
Exactly.
Saturday? And then you'll find out that they have a wife, a husband, they have
Exactly.
kids. Oh my God, my kid goes to the same school.
Mm-hmm.
Or something,
Connecting
anything, but you're building a connection on a different level,
in the personal level.
on a personal
Uh-huh.
level. And so it's not that you should regard that as like, what can this person do for me one day? No. But I guarantee you that when there's an opportunity, they will think about you first.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that is how you build a strong, network of individuals and
Mm-hmm.
everyone's helping each other. And that's how things grow and that's how your brand grows.
Exactly.
Because no
Exactly.
one is ever just born with a great brand. Like
They get
it's all
built.
it
It gets.
builds and it's all the people that you bring along. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you do have to prune people that no longer serve you. Not in a negative way, but it's just kind of like having a job. Sometimes you learn so much and then you reach a ceiling and then it's
Exactly.
time to move on.
And you move.
But I think always asking yourself, like, what can I offer to someone else is super valuable, and people will see you automatically as different. I think that's a great branding tool in general.
It's beautiful. Exactly. It's beautiful.
um, and then the last one is emotional health.
Oh,
So emotional health, it really
how
means
important.
slowing down. I know that in our industry, it can be very stressful. In construction, in design, there's deadlines.
Yes.
Sometimes there's investors. If it's a
Mm-hmm.
hotel, people are like, well, this needs to be open on this.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many different pressures, and sometimes there is a lot of money involved, and that can scare people.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to detach yourself from
Liabilities.
that
Mm-hmm.
and emotionally respond.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't react. Just think about what is being
Pause.
asked of you. Also think about who that person is. What are they going through?
Mm-hmm.
Just slow down and try your best to manage a question in like a very logistic, pragmatic manner. Like find out what is the real problem and
Mm-hmm.
then do you have a solution? And if you don't, find who that person is. And that is super important because I think it's so sad when relationships end because of a
Miscommunication. Mm-hmm.
miscommunication or an argument or something happened, and it's just you have to realize that you we need each other. And so this relationship, it might not seem like it's something right now, but 10 years down the road, guess what, that person's going to be working somewhere and then you're
It
like,
might be
oh,
your.
that's the person you have to answer to. And so and that's something that I remember I always did from the beginning. uh as a junior publicist, so I would take out junior editors, assistant editors.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't really have any decisions to like, put what's in the magazine, but I saw that they are going to be the next like senior
Generation.
editor,
Yes.
managing editor, editor in chief sometimes. And now it's at this like point where, not to toot my own horn or like sound cocky, but like I can text someone from like House Beautiful and just be like, "Hey, is this good enough for a story?" I don't have to go through the formalities
Exactly.
of like someone that doesn't have a
The network
relationship.
is connected. The
Yeah,
network is created.
it's
You have your
already
matrix.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly, and so there's value in that.
A
But I
hundred
think that
percent.
everybody has to have that long runway,
Mm-hmm.
long-term way of thinking because, if this is truly your passion and this is something you're gonna be doing it for a very long time, like, maybe until you die, who knows?
Yes. If you love this, it will be with you your whole life. It's the
Exactly.
way that you see the world.
Exactly. And people won't always remember specific situations, but they will remember how you made them feel. That 1,000% they will never forget. And so just, and here's the thing, like I used to struggle. I'm still working on it. Especially growing up I grew up in New Jersey and then I lived in New York for 10 years. And so New York is
There is, yeah,
like
exactly. Hectic,
yesterday.
competitive.
Everything is due yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing? Like nobody even says hi. They're just like, I need this.
Productivity at the highest level, and time is money,
Exactly. And
which
so
is
I've
right,
had
but
to I've had to kind of not untrain it, but just be a lot more patient and just being like, okay, how do I like, because I need to understand that like things just flow in the way that they will, and I need to accept it, and I can't control the things that I
mm-hmm.
can't
Mm-hmm.
control. I can try my best and just communicate what's needed.
Mm-hmm.
And then I always tell my team, I'm like, if you can't meet it, because I know myself sometimes, and I'll be like, I need this by tomorrow, blah blah blah. And I'm like, if those are not manageable, just communicate with me and be like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
I know you wanted this by 3 p.m., but I think that this has a really high priority and it needs to go out. So
Mm-hmm.
I just want to let you know I'm working on this, and then I promise you I will get you this by tomorrow at 10. And now I feel kind of like good. Not that I was challenged, but I'm like, oh, okay. first of all, you're thinking about the clients, which is the
Mm-hmm.
most important part of our
Mm-hmm.
business. You're
Mm-hmm.
thinking
Yes.
about them. You're
Their
trying to make
needs.
sure
Mm-hmm.
that their needs are gonna be met, their deadlines are met. What we are professionally hired to do is going to happen, and so I thank you so much for that because now you're thinking of our vision as a company and not just me, what I
Mm-hmm.
want, like, right
Mm-hmm.
now.
Exactly. Exactly. Or
And
your
so I
priority.
appreciate that, and then also that you're just communicating there's gonna be a change, so now I know my expectation is now for tomorrow at 10, and just have there's some peace with that, just knowing that, okay, it's a little backed up, it's not the end of the world, but it's going to happen, and I understand why.
Yeah, but it's all related with what you just said, emotional intelligence,
Mhm.
all of that. If you work on all of that,
Yeah, you
you will be able to be a more balanced professional in any profession that you pick,
correct.
because you will be able to communicate in a way that is emotionally aligned
Mhm.
and that has all the information that you have collected through your spirituality,
Yeah.
through your intelligence, through your research, to your pace, and then
Mm,
you will be able to create the result possible. Today, this
correct.
morning, I had an issue with one of my clients because something happened, and the way that I can resolve it is, number one, being empathic with their problem,
Mhm.
because you need to see, you need to be, face them, tell them the truth, and find a solution
Correct.
that piece their damage costs,
Yeah.
right? And is realistic,
Yeah.
because one of the other things that I believe in this industry is very complicated
Mhm.
is unrealistic.
Oh,
There are
yeah.
expectations that are unrealistic, and
Correct.
people fake it until
Mhm.
the end, and they
Mhm.
do not deliver. So it's huge,
Oh,
this
yeah.
industry, into
Yeah.
that.
Which is why it's so much easier to be transparent from the beginning.
Hmm.
Also, it makes you look like an expert and like you know what you're talking about.
Correct.
It's
Correct.
like, I understand you want that, but in my experience, this is going to realistically take this much, or it's going to be more expensive. Or I don't have all the answers, but give me a second and I'm going to go back and then I'll come back with like a more educated response to this.
Exactly.
And people
Exactly.
will respect that.
Hmm.
Then you just being like, yeah, sure, whatever. And then
But it's experience. It's experience. You
it
were saying,
is.
like,
Yeah.
it's not that from one day to the other one
Mm,
you have this emotional intelligence
yeah.
to being able to manage these situations. That's what I was trying to connect.
Correct.
I was trying to connect that you are the result of all your
Oh,
experiences.
thank you. Thank
Like the
you.
result of all of this,
Yeah.
and this way and this approach is what
Mhm.
you are giving
Yeah.
to the people that connects you and use your company and your
1,000%.
consulting to I won't say sell, but
Mhm.
I will say present
Present.
them in a
Correct.
better way.
Yeah.
So let's connect to how you can help them. Let's explain to the, because our crowd and our audiences is all interior designs and architects. So how your company and you
Mhm.
uh, can help them
Can help
be,
them.
you know,
So,
represent themselves in a better way.
correct. I think the bottom line is we have to be very aware of where the eyeballs are. And so, for example, if the
Mm-hmm.
eyeballs are on Instagram or Pinterest or TikTok or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
you need to make sure that that is buttoned up and people immediately can look at it and just
Mm-hmm.
know, oh, that's Adriana. Like without even like seeing a photo of you,
Uh-huh.
just look at your work and just like, oh, okay, I know that that's Jesus. I know that that's Sandra.
Uh-huh.
I know that that's, David from Brito Charette.
Mhm.
So, and how you communicate that is consistency. So, your images, so for example, your images, if you are known to be the designer that is, let's just say, Palm Beach, so a little bit more old school, more
Mhm.
traditional, a lot of fabrics, antiques,
Mhm.
then all those images need to be consistent and adhere to that
Created.
certain like formula
Mhm.
because people like consistency. They like to know what to expect. They like to
Mhm.
know, for example, when you go to McDonald's, you already know what you're gonna get from there.
Exactly.
Or if you go
It's
to
clear.
Faena, you know it's gonna be a different experience. I'm not
Yes.
saying one is better than the other, but you know what to expect. And
Exactly.
everything is always very consistent. And so consistency is king. Choosing the right words, for example. So we always like to start off our clients with like a questionnaire where we get to know them a lot.
Okay.
And
Important.
so it's like similar to what we're doing now: who, what, where, when, why. And
Mhm.
sometimes it'll be a little bit more specific, like what are some things that you care about outside of design?
Mhm.
Because when people tell you, educate you on what they care about, you might learn more about them through that than like what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for example, if someone is like, oh, like I struggled with breast cancer and now I'm a huge breast cancer
Mm-hmm.
advocate, now we know that that is some, okay, so what can you get from that? So, women generally, so they care about women
Mm-hmm.
causes, maybe it's like feminism or like women bosses. It might, which
See.
can be minorities. It could
Mm-hmm.
be also seen as diversity, equity, and inclusion. Especially, for
Yes.
example, you said in your space,
Uh-huh.
there's not a lot of women. And so if that is a focus and that is like a core part of the message, like we're able to get that from something they care about and not necessarily what they do or their resume. So visually, so for example, if we know that all the eyeballs are on Instagram, the client needs to decide what type of designer they want to be. And so there's three different brackets, right? Like there's like
Ex-
luxury, there's like
mm-hmm.
mid-market, and then there's like affordable housing. There's nothing wrong with like
Any
I
of them,
want to
exactly.
yeah,
There is
I
a
want to
niche.
be very clear when I say there's nothing wrong with either three. You could be very profitable with all three of them.
Correct.
People think there is sometimes a misconception that only luxury there's a lot of money. I'm like, sometimes if you have a line with Target, you're gonna be good for a while.
Exactly, exactly.
So it doesn't matter which one. You just have to choose the one that's gonna resonate with you the most, the one that you know the language the most, you can
Mm-hmm.
connect to the audience the most. And so in order for us to know, for example, if you say, okay, I want to be a luxury designer, I want to be designing homes in on Fisher Island,
Mm-hmm.
uh, Tahiti Beach, Coral Gables Estates, then your Instagram needs to be high quality images. I'm sorry, I love everyone, but iPhone and Android, it's not going to sell it. It's
Ex-
just not, because
exactly.
if you want to be associated with a luxury client, they're going to expect luxury.
Correct.
Because you have to think about it. Um, the client that can hire and can afford a Coral Gables estate is also shopping at Oscar de la Renta. They have, an account at
It's a
Neiman
combo.
Marcus. They are driving, the latest Tesla or the latest
Exactly.
Rolls Royce. And so when they go to a restaurant, guess what? They expect the plate to be beautiful, chinoiserie. Where they're
Uh-huh.
drinking champagne out of has to be beautiful,
Exactly.
made in Italy. Where they stay in hotels, everything, like
Pristine,
their
yeah.
brand is consistent everywhere. And
Exactly.
so if they're going to hire you as a luxury
I love
designer,
that.
your Instagram needs to be high quality. And because that is the message that you want,
Need to
because that's
speak
the
to them.
audience that you're going to. But like I said, if like let's just say you wanted to go into affordable housing, again, nothing wrong with that. Can be super profitable. Then now I would say it's more about telling the story behind it. And so who is going to be living in this? What is the
Mm-hmm.
purpose? How does this help the environment or the economy? Are you helping people that maybe were unhoused for a while?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they were living in a
Mm-hmm.
shelter and now this is going to be their first home. And so you're going to be able to provide that first home. How do you tell that story?
Exactly. And it's
Um,
about the story too,
oh
right?
yeah,
Because
a
part of
thousand
one
percent.
of my questions about that was, okay, what's the difference between creating the brand of a
Hmm.
company or the brand of a designer?
Hmm.
Because it's completely different the way that you should approach that. And
Right.
you are explaining us, okay, all of this is not only your targets, it's
Hmm.
also what you are. You are a company
Yeah.
or you are a person.
Right.
So and
Right.
and that is something that people now, okay, what is branding? What is PR? So
Yeah. Yeah.
clarify that a little bit for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So PR is we are the ones that are in charge of your brand messaging. And so messaging means visual, but then also written, spoken. And so
Okay.
it's our job to always make sure that your messaging is consistent.
Mm-hmm.
And for example, your website, if your Instagram is beautiful, but your website is not, then that needs to be consistent.
Dissonant. Uh-huh.
The way that down to like, for example, if like let's say the way that you describe your services you're not choosing the right words, we will help with that messaging because you'd be surprised. Words have power. The way that we
Totally.
interpret the world around us is through words. And so simply changing the words of like from like super high end,
Mhm.
changing that to just sophisticated or elegance, it's a whole different, like now
Complete.
it's like being perceived very differently. And as all you did was switch some words around.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we are hired, it's our job primarily in traditional media relations is we are hired to secure our clients' work to be featured in magazines. And so there is a difference between advertising and they're very similar. So I just want to like describe that
Exactly.
difference.
Important.
So with advertising, you pay the magazine directly for, let's say, a page and
Mm-hmm.
you tell them how it's going to look. And they literally you're paying for that space. But there usually isn't a story behind it. There's
Mm-hmm.
something called editorial, which is slightly different, but it's not editorial because you're still assigning all the words. And think about it as you're just talking good about yourself. There's nothing wrong with that,
Exactly.
but where we come in is we take, let's say you had a project in let's say like Coconut Grove. So we go to the magazine with our relationships with the editors, and we're like, "Hey, I'm trying to think who's down here. Jennifer Smith at Lux. Hey, Jennifer, our new client Adriana just did this beautiful home in Coconut
Mm-hmm.
Grove. These are all the brands that are in every room. This is the builder, the architect. The story. Sometimes the homeowner is a very important part of it. Would you consider this for the next spring issue? Because we know in our editorial calendar that spring is going to be about green, and this has a lot of green in the home. So
Perfect.
we're the ones that have that knowledge. We're on top of where the magazines are, what the schedule is,
Mm-hmm.
what they're writing about, and more importantly, who is writing about what. Because magazines have different teams. So market teams
Exactly.
only write about products,
Mm-hmm.
and then features, they write about homes, and sometimes they have a home editor. And so we know exactly who to go to with that
Exactly.
information. And we also, part of the strategy is exclusivity. So, for example, if you go to Lux Magazine, you go to them first. You're not going to send this to 10 different people because magazines want to be the first ones to talk about a property. And the value that we bring is that now, let's just say in a
Mm-hmm.
beautiful world, they say yes. Sometimes they reshoot it, sometimes they don't. But then they will assign an editor to interview the designer, the architect, to
Amazing.
write about the story, write about the homeowner. And so instead of you buying one page, you can now potentially get 7 or 8, and there's a
Wow.
story behind it. And when I worked in ad sales, I
See.
learned that people spend about 2 to 3 seconds on an ad, if that. Maybe now it's even less. But on a story, they will spend a lot more time if they're reading it.
Reading.
And so that's going to like stick a lot longer with
They,
the
they will
reader.
connect.
Correct. Right.
Uh-huh.
Exactly. And so essentially, I guess we're brokers, right? We're story brokers. So that would be an example of like a project placement.
Beautiful.
We also this would be an example of a PR. So let's say we had a designer that we thought was great for this.
Mm-hmm.
Then we would pitch it to you and say, "Hi, like we think this interior designer would be amazing for you, and this is why."
Beautiful.
And so getting them speaking engagements like for podcasts so that
Exactly.
people can learn their story. Um, Brand partnerships is something that we do with Edge, which I think is very important, especially in this industry.
Mm-hmm.
So
100%.
meaning if we have an interior designer and we notice that let's say they use a lot of Schumacher on their fabrics,
Mm-hmm.
then we will reach out to the Schumacher team and say, "Hey, our designer Adriana, she has these 3 projects. These are all in South Florida. She used Schumacher exclusively on all the walls in this
Mm-hmm.
project. Is there any way that we can come up with a cross content marketing campaign so that you can blast it on your newsletter?" And sometimes they'll
Yes.
have newsletters of like 30,000, 50,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
Can they also collaborate on a post with you on Instagram?
Mm-hmm.
Or can you at least do a quick Q&A for your stories and tag Adriana? And so
Yes.
the value there is sometimes it can be monetary. So, for example, if they really like you and they see that you use them a lot, maybe they're like, "Adriana, we're going to give you 50% off, 30% off for the next one." Or sometimes there is no monetary value, but the value you're getting is by them featuring you on their website, on their newsletter, on their
Yeah, it's
Instagram.
publicity.
That is going to lend itself to more eyeballs. You're
Mm-hmm.
going to get a lot more following from that. And I think more importantly, everybody has to realize that the clients are becoming more educated in the brands, also in the
100%.
design industry. And so they're stalking all of these brands all day long.
Exactly.
Like I've had interior designers that
Exactly.
tell me some of their clients will screenshot like an Instagram and then send it to them and be like, "Hey, can you like find this for me?"
Yes.
And so that can lead to some kind of lead down the road, right? But I will say
Completely.
this, I never like to promise anything because these are all brand building exercises that
Mm-hmm.
help cement who you are in your messaging. It's not going to make the phone ring. You still need those salespeople, those biz dev people to close those deals. What we
Exactly.
do is we bring the horses, but then your team has to close it. And so
Exactly.
I like to just be
Ex-
transparent about that from the
Yeah,
beginning.
because that's the role. That's the role.
Yes.
One of the 3 main roles in every
Connectors. Yeah.
exactly you are the
We're the
connector. So
connector.
the company or the designer that is bringing you to the table needs to have the other two structure, right?
Correct. Correct. Yeah.
I think I have so many people, designers and architects
Hmm.
that are around me, around very interested in
Yeah.
connecting with you and
Oh,
seeing the
good.
ways that you can, because they are beautiful
Hmm.
designers, but they
Hmm.
don't know how to project
Yeah.
themselves. And they do have this, connections with the vendors, and they are, that they work
Yeah.
in reference, and they give this discounts, but how they transform that into, something that gives them more value.
Correct. Right. Um, so this what I'm gonna so okay, so once we get let's just say let's go back to that Coconut Grove project and let's say use a lot of Schumacher. So once that story goes to print, a lot of people, sometimes our clients, they open it, they're like, okay, cute, and then they close it and that's it. And I'm like,
Oh.
no, that's the beginning of a
Uh-huh.
marketing campaign. Because now we take that beautiful story and we send it to all the vendors that are
Mhm.
involved. And we're like, hey, Adriana was just published in Lux. Wanted to let you know that your product was in it.
Beautiful.
We invite you to share it. Is there any other way that we can share it together? How do we figure that out? Because now it has now this story, now you have to give it wings, essentially,
Beautiful.
because it doesn't just die once, just
No.
because it's printed, like, no. Or even when it goes online. And so that is where and then this goes back to what can I do for you?
Mhm.
Those brands will appreciate that you included them in it.
Mhm.
They will appreciate, "Oh my god, thank you so much." Now they have something that they can market. And I think that, there's a big difference between seeing a chair,
Mhm.
but then seeing a chair in someone's home when it's, like, fully built and fully
Exactly.
designed,
Completely different.
seeing a kitchen that's installed. Sometimes they will do like, AD will do this a lot with their celebrities, where if they have a family, they'll all be, like, around the kitchen island making a meal or something,
Yes.
and that
Beautiful.
that type of, like, visual
Mhm.
storytelling, it's so compelling, and people like, if they saw it on Instagram, they're like, "Oh, what beautiful family is that?" And then they're like, "Oh, that's a blah, blah, blah kitchen," or whatever that
Exactly. They
is.
can connect directly with an emotional
An
core.
emotional connection,
Uh-huh.
exactly. Um,
So that's beautiful.
and
So
yeah,
we'll say, what would you say, we're getting out of time
yeah,
today. What would you say to the designers and architects that are now being represented? They don't have
yeah.
anything. So what would be the starting
Number
point?
number one thing I think is before anything, show your process. Don't be afraid to show the mess.
Mm-hmm.
Do not be afraid. People love the mess. They love the chaos. That will be a big reason why they hire you, is because you're showing them how you turn something that was maybe an empty lot and now it's a home, or maybe it was a kitchen that was in shambles. Whatever that is, show the process because it will amaze them every single time. Um, there was something that I learned a few years ago where it's like happiness is found in the process. It's not in the destination.
Correct.
It's in the day to day. Sometimes it can be chaotic. It's
Exactly.
in the things that you're doing. And so I think a
Challenging.
lot of designers are scared because I understand, they're perfectionist. They want this to be a beautiful image,
See.
but no, like, just show it. Just show it. Like, take people on your
Totally.
journey.
Totally.
They wanna be I think social media people are there to engage. They're there to connect. They
Mm-hmm.
want to learn. So the best social posts are, educational, engaging, or entertaining, or they can be all 3 if you want. But, if you're able to educate someone on a process,
Mm-hmm.
think about there's so many people that are maybe they're looking to buy homes as investment properties,
Mm-hmm.
so educating them on like what is the value of renovating your bathrooms? What is the value on renovating a kitchen? Something like that that I think for our world can be so like, oh duh, everybody knows it.
Exactly.
But people don't know it. Like
No, no,
your
no.
client doesn't know that. And
Exactly.
they see that and they love I think people like being educated. They're curious. Um
100%.
and so show your process. I understand you don't want it to be on your feed. People are scared because like, well, that's not my brand. But, like, do, like, the bubbles on the stories and just be like project 1,
Uh-huh.
project 2, project 3, just show it on
Beautiful.
stories, it's gonna disappear anyway, but that will be something that, that I would always say I think a major takeaway if you're not ready for publicists or let's say, you have all these projects, but you haven't photographed it yet, make sure you set a budget apart for photography and content
Mm-hmm.
and video. People wanna see that, like, they want to see what, what you go through every day.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I think it helps assert your price point. So, for example, if you're able to
Totally.
show how you went from an empty lot to a 38-room mansion, that's going to justify your price point.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. And this is something that I can do.
Yeah, yeah,
Setting the
exactly.
standards, yes.
Um,
Byron, where they can find you?
on Instagram, so at
That's
Cordero Consulting.
that's the best way.
Yeah, I deactivated my personal one for now for the
No,
July.
That's perfect. That's
Yeah,
perfect. That's
yeah.
perfect.
A little
I'm so
cleanse.
I'm so glad that we have this conversation. I think we didn't cover even
Yeah,
half of
that
what I wanted to discuss with you. So I think we are gonna have a second.
Can I say one more?
Sure,
Okay.
sure. Yes.
Okay, so when it comes to authenticity, so people are hungry for brands that provide this like identity and authenticity. And it's because people sometimes are lost in their own identity and their own purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And so it helps them give this sense of security when they're able to follow a brand or a designer that you already know what you're going to get when you get there. They've described exactly who they are, what they do, how they, everything visual and then also written. And
Yes.
people are like, oh, I connect to that. Or
Mm-hmm.
that could be my lifestyle one day. Or maybe they're
Yes.
not there right now, but you just inspired them.
The mirror.
And so,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the mirror, exactly. And so, that is all going to come
Yes.
with being authentic. And you have to remember that you could be this like rock, you could be this beautiful source of inspiration for someone that maybe is going
Mm-hmm.
through a hard time.
Yes.
Um, I think in our world, you described it before, you're designing homes. And so sometimes we have to be very realistic and acknowledge that in homes, not everything is rainbows and butterflies, right?
No.
Sometimes people go through divorces,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes a family member passes away.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe through design, you're able to impact people in a way that helps give them inspiration, helps them see that, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Or maybe they can just connect. You don't know how many times I've shared my personal story and I'm like, oh, nobody's going to care.
No,
But
completely
then they're
different.
like, oh my God, I can relate to. So my mother passed away in 2012. It
Mm-hmm.
was like a really sudden. And so many people from the industry were just like, oh my God, me too. Or I lost this, or I'm so sorry. And it's just something that they were able to connect with because it was authentic and it was something that
Exactly.
was a part of my personal
Mm-hmm.
story. And so I think people they want that, especially in a digital age. They want authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
Just be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And don't be afraid of who that is and just
Yeah.
share it.
Yes, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Amen.
Amen. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to Deconstruction Podcast. Your 5-star reviews really help us continue what we do. Please rate your listening experience, and let's keep building this beautiful community together. For exclusive access to more design content, visit thearchitecturalauthority.com or download our app from the App Store or Google Play. Until next time, stay creative.